The NBA dodged a bullet on October 26th when reigning MVP Joel Embiid was able to suit up for the Philadelphia 76ers home opener. Embiid was listed as questionable for the Sixers' third game of the season, not because of injury, but because of rest. The Sixers had played the night before and didn't want to risk their MVP playing on a back-to-back. But Embiid did play, and Sixers fans breathed a sigh of relief. NBA officials, on the other hand, probably clenched their butt cheeks. The league doesn't want to see its top stars sitting out games, especially for reasons like rest. Joel Embiid was expected to rest in the Sixers' first home game against the Portland Trail Blazers, which would have been a direct challenge to the NBA's new policy, restricting when teams can keep stars out of games when they're not injured. Policy is already off to a rocky start, with several All-Stars having missed games. The Sixers showed up to their season opener against the Bucks short of a player. James Harden was missing in action, supposedly due to return to competition reconditioning. But we all know the real reason. Harden is still salty about Daryl Morey being in Philly.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of again.
TNT was broadcasting the game, so the Sixers knew they had to be careful. If Harden was neither in uniform nor on the bench, they would be violating the league's new rules. And if Embiid had missed the game too, it would have been a disaster. But Embiid played, so the Sixers avoided a major violation. But the storm clouds are still gathering over Philly. Harden and the Sixers have been fighting for months over his trade demand, and it's clear that he's not happy there. But thank goodness that this saga is over, since Harden has been traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. It's not even a month into the NBA season, and already household names like Harden, Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker, and Donovan Mitchell have missed games. The league has yet to accuse any of these stars of faking an injury, but that's not the point. The real issue is that the NBA's player participation policy is a joke. It's so full of loopholes that teams can easily bend or break the rules without getting caught. For example, there's no requirement for teams to release detailed medical reports on injured players. This means that teams can essentially say whatever they want about a player's injury, and the league has no way to verify it. As a result, teams are still free to rest their stars for any reason they want, even if it's not actually an injury. This is unfair to fans who pay good money to see their favorite players compete. The NBA is serious about getting its players to appear in more regular season games. In fact, they have new data that shows load management doesn't work. But so far, their participation policy isn't working either. For example, Cavs coach J.B. Bickerstaff recently sat 3 recent All-Stars out of a loss, all of whom were listed as injured. He said this in a pregame interview before their game against the Pacers.
I love our guys to play, and I want our guys to play as many games as they can, as safely as they possibly can. Injuries happen, and we'll never sacrifice that to get a guy on the floor in an 82-game season.
Now, I'm not saying Bickerstaff is lying, but I am saying that if we all got $1 for every time an NBA player was listed as injured when they were really just resting, we'd be as rich as LeBron James. Back in September, the NBA passed some new rules governing how teams can rest players, especially stars. These rules were passed with the approval of the Players Union, and they're designed to make sure that fans get to see the best players on the court as much as possible. The league doesn't want to see star players missing national TV games, road games, or the same game as a star teammate for rest. So, they've built in a few exceptions to the rules, such as for older players and for players with minor aches and pains. But if you're a star player and you're thinking about taking a night off, be careful. The NBA is now investigating players who miss games for rest or to monitor minor injuries. So, if you're going to sit out, you'd better come up with a good excuse. The NBA has been trying to get its stars to play more games, but to no avail. Even after authoring new rules and sending out Joe Dumars and Adam Silver to say the league is serious, stars are still missing games for all sorts of reasons. Take the Sixers, for example. They were clearly thinking about sitting Embiid, who is healthy but has an extensive injury history and a track record of skipping 1 of 2 games on consecutive nights. Sixers coach Nick Nurse said in an interview that guys are still not in game shape because of the lack of games. No matter whatever you do, you get the games. You need some games to get in that kind of condition. So that's always a challenge. The Cleveland Cavaliers are off to a slow start this season, and it's not hard to see why. Two of their all-star players, Jarrett Allen and Darius Garland, were on the injured list. And then their third all-star, Donovan Mitchell, also got banged up. Allen missed the first 5 games this season because of an ankle injury. Garland missed the first few games with a hamstring strain, and Mitchell was held out of a game with hamstring soreness. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, struggling to stay in contention. The Phoenix Suns are facing a tough start to the season, dealing with nagging injuries to their star players. Bradley Beal, who's been battling a sore back since training camp, barely made his season debut a few days ago. Devin Booker, who scored 32 points in the season opener, missed 3 games due to an apparent foot sprain, leaving the aging Kevin Durant to carry the load. And just when you thought things couldn't get worse, the Suns got absolutely destroyed by the rookie phenom Victor Wembanyama on Devin Booker's return. In the humid city of Miami, where the sun shines brighter than the Heat's championship hopes, a star player named Jimmy Butler got his well-deserved break. Was he injured? Not even close. The Heat simply wanted to give their star an extra tender loving care, a chance to rest his abused legs and recharge for the long season ahead. Now over in Milwaukee, Chris Middleton's knee situation is a bit different. He's missed games before due to injuries, but this time around he's completely healthy. So, why did he sit out the second game of the season against the Atlanta Hawks? Well, let's just say that Coach Griffin is a firm believer in the power of rest, and he's not afraid to use it, even if it means leaving his star player on the sidelines for a night. So what did the Bucks do? They decided to give Chris a day off too, not because he was hurt, but because they wanted to prevent him from getting hurt. But then, Middleton was back in action the next night against the Miami Heat. National TV games are the league's bread and butter, and they're pushing hard to make sure we get our money's worth. But sometimes, things don't go as planned. Remember last season, when the Warriors and Bucks rolled into Cleveland on back-to-back nights, and both teams decided to give their stars a night off? The Cavs even sat out their then newly acquired star Mitchell in one of those games. After this game last season, Klay Thompson expressed how much he wants to play back-to-back games and said this in an interview. "I think it's good for the consumer to see stars out there on a daily basis. The league has realized that, and hopefully going forward, there will be more star participation because it's a star-driven business, just like any other entertainment industry." Now this season, the Warriors have a roster full of seasoned veterans, some of whom have more injury history than a medical textbook. But their coach, Steve Kerr, has a different approach this time. He wants to put on a show. So while other teams might be resting their stars, the Warriors are out there giving it their all, even if it means limping off the court at the end of the night. Back in the golden days of basketball, the year 2003, All-Stars were a different breed. They were some Iron Men, logging an average of 79.3 games per season. But fast forward 2 decades to 2023 and the game has changed. Today's All-Stars are as soft as porcelain dolls, averaging a mere 64.4 games a year. What happened to the era of Jason Kidd, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson?
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, players who could effortlessly rack up 80 games in a season. These guys were the epitome of durability, the last of a dying breed. In today's NBA, even 80 games is a distant dream. The closest we've come in recent years is Anthony Edwards and Domantas Sabonis with 79 games, followed by Julius Randle at 77, Bam Adebayo at 75, and Jason Tatum at 74. And don't even get me started on the last 3 MVPs. They couldn't even crack 70 games. Nowadays, it seems like our star players are made of glass, constantly nursing nagging injuries that keep them sidelined for weeks, sometimes even months. And while some of these injuries might be genuine cases of bad luck, others raise an eyebrow or two. The NBA's new load management policy was supposed to help prevent these overuse injuries and keep our stars on the court. But so far, it seems flawed. With players being rested left and right, fans are starting to wonder if they're ever going to see their teams play at full strength again. What do you all think is the answer for this load management problem that's been plaguing the NBA for a while now? Write down your thoughts in the comments below. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far.